So Sagan really helped us kind of get those high quality candidates and really simplify that process. We had seen the power of global talent or begun to understand it, and we chose not to pull the trigger because it was too expensive. But then Sagan Passport came around and we're like, that's it, we're pulling the trigger, this is exactly what we want, and we can do it at this price.
Could you please introduce yourself about your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Jacob Mueller. I am one of the founders of a short-term rental property management company called Renjoy. So we manage owners' property that is rented out on Airbnb or VRBO or other short-term rental channels. We manage those property and those guests on behalf of owners.
Wow. For hiring global talent, did you guys hire global talent before Sagan Passport? Did you have any challenges?
I wish we did. It's kind of been a long story for us, meaning about when I said that I wish I had known about global talent when I first started our company, because we have lots of existing employees we probably would have replaced had we known that, or would have started global first. So yeah, because of the needs of our business, we have to have people working 24/7, right? Because we have people staying at our properties 24/7. They can have an issue in the middle of the night, can't get into the property for some reason. And so we've always had to have global service. And of course, that's very difficult to afford that. Prior to Sagan, had been hiring direct our comms agents, what we call comms agents, but we definitely saw them as very low level, require a lot of training. They fit within the box and they just do what's in the box, which is responding to guest messages, find information about property and how to respond well. And in that process, probably hired, 15 or so people from the Philippines, because a lot of them come and go. We just stuck with the Philippines because we found that once we were in a market, we could better train and understand their culture instead of trying to hire all over the place. But even doing that, we had tons of issues. We had issues with people not showing up for work. They'd be great for 2 weeks and they're gone and we don't hear anything from them. We had issues with they would be great for a week, and you could tell that they were working multiple jobs simultaneously, and so they weren't responding to the messages as they had been. We had a lot of issues with whether we had A players or B players or C players, and that was really hard for us to determine from a distance, and so we ended up with a lot of B and C players. So that was kind of our initial experience with global. We didn't think much of it. We didn't really have a big unlock until got introduced to John Matzner, one of the founders of Sagan, and I didn't meet him in person. I just saw him on Twitter or on X, and I saw this conversation going on between him and some other remote staffing companies, and I thought it was really interesting because I had followed some of these other people for different reasons, and I started learning more about what Sagan Passport was becoming, and I got really intrigued. And so I actually just DM'd John got me all set up, and we made our first hire with Sagan about 2 months ago now. It was the hire date, a little bit more than 2 months ago.
Maybe you could describe your experience with our hiring process then, since you've hired before, and how was it different from the previous 15 hires? So what set it apart for you?
Honestly, it was a 180-degree shift on how we thought about global talent. We kind of just thought them as, hey, here's 4 rooms in order to facilitate this really simple with an offer, which is 24/7 guest communications. And we completely shifted through this process of getting familiar with the opportunity in global talent. We shifted how we thought about that. And so every single position at our company from here on out is going to be global first. And what we mean by that is whatever position we need to hire, whether in the case of Sagan, we hired a controller, finance controller, but whether it was a controller or an account executive or an HR administrator or a payroll administrator, that job requisition has to go global first. And so what Sagan has allowed us to do is allowed to offshore a lot of that recruiting and getting rid of a lot of the work that typically comes with recruiting globally. There's a tremendous amount of work you have to do to filter candidates, to find candidates, to filter candidates. That's a lot of work, and most organizations, especially our size, can't really afford to do that. So Sagan really helped us kind of get those high quality candidates and really simplify that process. And so the first hire we made with Sagan was a finance controller. He's based out of Colombia, and he's been incredible. Very, very helpful for us in specific projects that we have needed. He actually brought a lot of experience into our team. What was kind of a big shift for us was thinking less of, I have a task, I'm going to tell you how to do that task, and you go and get it done, and more of, I have a need, and I don't even know what I don't know, right? So in our company, none of us are controllers. We don't really know anything about financial controlling, and so we can't create the box for that person to work in. We have to bring somebody in who knows that box for us. And so one of the cool things about this hire was we're learning a ton about finance control from this hire, and it's been really great. And now we're starting to see that not just in that position, but even other positions we've hired through Sagan. We're actually learning a lot more. There's expertise coming into our organization rather than our organization trying to export expertise and have people do tasks.
Wow, that sounds incredible, honestly. And how did our subscription model benefit you and your business? Like, what has been the impact of hiring global talent?
Yeah, so this goes back to how I actually first got introduced to Sagan is through Twitter. I was seeing these different models on Twitter, and there was one model, I don't know if I'm free to say their names or whatever, but there's one model we looked at, I think it's called Support Shepherd. Like I said before, there's a tremendous amount of work that goes into finding, filtering, and qualifying candidates. And so whether it's Sagan or Support Shepherd or whomever these staffing agencies are, I know they're doing a lot of work, but with Support Shepherd, you have this crazy ongoing expense, so it's actually not that much cheaper at the end of the day. Maybe a small fraction cheaper than to hire US, but that's not really what we were going for. A huge change, like a step change in cost of payroll. And so what was really neat about Sagan, what I saw immediately when I heard when John was launching his business and how he was going to price it, I knew, oh, this is a game changer. Because for any company that's growing regularly, you don't want to be paying these massive one-time fees, finder fees, because what you'll do is you'll not hire when you need to, right? You'll wait because you're saying, okay, well, if I make this hire, I have to spend $20,000 today or whatever, something like that. But therefore, let's push off that hire because we don't want to spend $20,000 today on that hire. So let's push it down the road. What's great about Sagan and their subscription model is it's only $1,000 a month for us, and we get 6 hires whenever we need them. We can front load those hires in the year. We can hire 6 people all at once and get the benefits of having all 6 of those people working for us for 12 months before we end up paying the full cost of that subscription. So it was a game-changing business model. In fact, we had seen the power of global talent or begun to understand it, and we chose not to pull the trigger because it was too expensive. But then Sagan Passport came around and we're like, that's it, we're pulling the trigger, this is exactly what we want, and we can do it at this price.
Why would you recommend our service to other business owners?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, absolutely. I think every small business owner, regardless of what you're doing, pressure washing, plumbing, construction services, architectural services, law services, whatever you're doing, you should learn about global talent and you should be thinking about becoming global first. It's just incredible the amount of talent that's out there, and it's really hard to find it when you think about how hard it is to find somebody for your company just within your town or your city, and then you multiply that times the whole world. Of course it's daunting to try to find somebody who's a good fit for your company. Of course that's really daunting. But with a lot of changes in the way we work and the technology that we have, and so I would recommend any business owner to check out, well, to think first, how can I make this next hire, whatever that hire may be, within my globally, and then in addition to that, who's going to be the best at helping me achieve that hire successfully. And I would of course recommend Sagan over anybody else out there in the marketplace that I've seen.
Feel about being part of the Sagan community? I think that's also something special and different, which sets us apart from other recruitment services.
Yeah, no, that's accurate. Sagan also has this great community of not just like-minded business owners who you can bounce ideas off within their closed community, which is really helpful because there's some employees or something like that. You guys have a lot of seminars or webinars on an ongoing basis, open office hours where we can actually ask questions of particular people within Sagan and learn how do we become a global first company and how do we do that really well. And there's obviously, the industry always changes, and so having a partner like Sagan who's going to provide resources as you go through those changes is invaluable, and absolutely it kind of helps us than if we were just had a recruiting service, right? Like that's really simple. A headhunting service is really simple, but that doesn't actually help you understand how do I capture the value of these hires and maximize that value and what's changing within this work.
The last but not the least, so where do you see your business in the next 6 to 12 months as a Sagan Passport member?
Yeah, great question. Well, we actually just made, I think, our 3rd or 4th Sagan hire. Like, I think we actually made that offer this week. It was funny. Actually, I have a funny story to tell about that. So we are working on repricing our workers' comp insurance. In the United States, we carry insurance for all of our employees so that if they get hurt while they're on the job, they can get coverage for whatever injury they have and lost work and all that stuff. Anyway, workers' comp is a big deal in our business because we have lots of people out for work. And so we're getting our policy repriced. This insurance broker asked me, well, hey, can you get me your loss runs for the past 3 years as a report? And I'm like, I don't even know what a loss run is. So I emailed the guy back, Anna. I CC'd her because she's in our HR department now. She's kind of running HR administration. So I CC'd her and I responded to the broker. I'm like, hey, I don't know what you mean by loss runs, but I will ask our current insurance provider what that report is and I'll get it to you. And then Anna texts me separately. She says, hey, by the way, here's what loss runs mean. And she she explained it all for me right away. And I'm like, perfect example of hiring somebody who has a lot more value and expertise that they're bringing into the organization, right, that you didn't have before. So anyway, I'm not really answering your question, but it was really cool to see that on our most recent hire. 6 to 12 months. I mean, again, like I said, we're going to be global first for every single position moving forward. Now, it may not work for everything. Like one of the positions we were trying to hire global first was an account executive, and we're still working with Sagan to find an account executive for us because we're kind of B2B sales, and our average contract value is pretty high, $15,000 to $20,000 contracts. And so we have found some barriers with kind of those level of relationship building. But in 6 to 12 months, I mean, I would say 70% of our hires are going to be global, like from here on out, or if not more. A huge radical shift in how we're not just building this company, but any future companies I build, it's going to be the same.